You didn't love them. You loved the version of yourself that felt superior when they wanted you. And when they pulled away, your confidence collapsed. That wasn't heartbreak. That was ego withdrawal. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly whether your last relationship was or validation addiction. Stay with me, because this is where your identity starts to crack. Let's begin with something uncomfortable. When you think about the person you can't let go of, what do you actually remember? Is it their character, their kindness, their emotional safety? Or do you remember how intense it felt when they wanted you? Be honest, because most people don't miss the person. They miss the high, the late night attention, the tension in the air, the subtle dominance of being chosen. And here is the brutal truth. Being desired feels like power. When someone wants you, your internal state shifts. You don't just feel liked. You feel elevated, more confident, more attractive, more significant. It's not random. It's neurological. When someone expresses desire toward you, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is not the love chemical. It is the reward prediction chemical. It spikes when something valuable might be obtained, and nothing feels more valuable to the ego than being selected. Selection implies superiority. It implies comparison. It implies that out of all available options, you were chosen. That hits something deep, especially in a culture that constantly ranks desirability. Dating apps, followers, likes, attention metrics. Modern society turned attraction into a public scoreboard. So when someone chooses you, your brain doesn't just register romance. It registers status. And status feeds identity. Now let's go deeper. You don't just enjoy being desired. You build yourself around it. Watch your behavior the moment someone shows interest. Your posture shifts. Your tone adjusts. You become sharper, more intentional. You're not just interacting. You're optimizing. Because you want to maintain the high. That's where addiction begins. Addiction is not about substances. It's about states. And being desired is a state of elevation. But here's the hidden mechanism. The version of you that feels confident in those moments is conditional. It only appears when external validation is present. Remove the attention, and that confidence fades. That's the crack. If your identity rises and falls based on who wants you, then your identity is externally regulated. You don't feel powerful because you are secure. You feel powerful because someone is reflecting power back to you. They become the mirror, and you fall in love with the reflection, not the person. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. When they stopped texting consistently, why did your anxiety spike? Was it because you missed connection? Or because you felt less valuable? When their tone changed, why did your chest tighten? Because you loved them? Or because your ego sensed a drop in validation supply? This is where sexual psychology enters the picture. Desire is not neutral. It carries dominance energy. When someone desires you intensely, you feel positioned above others. It creates a subtle hierarchy. They want you. You are wanted. That dynamic feels powerful. And power is intoxicating. Now here's the twist. Your nervous system prefers unpredictability. Stable affection does not spike dopamine. Uncertain affection does. This is called variable reinforcement, the same mechanism used in gambling systems. If a slot machine paid every time, it would be boring. But when rewards are unpredictable, the brain becomes obsessed. Now think about your most intense attractions. Were they calm and secure? Or hot and cold? Uncertain, inconsistent, sometimes close, sometimes distant. That volatility creates stronger chemical reactions. You confuse that chemical intensity with emotional depth. But intensity built on instability is not intimacy, it's stimulation. And stimulation is addictive. That's why you lose interest when someone is too available. too stable, too secure. Because calm doesn't validate you. It doesn't elevate you. It doesn't create spikes. It feels neutral, and neutrality feels like loss to a brain addicted to intensity. So you chase the unavailable one, the emotionally distant one, the one who gives you just enough desire to keep you hooked. Because every time they lean back in, you feel chosen again. And being chosen feels like proof of worth. But that proof is temporary, which means you need it again, and again, and again. Now we reach the identity fracture. If your confidence depends on being desired for you when nobody wants you, if no one flirts with you for months, does your self-image shrink? Do you feel invisible? If yes, then you weren't building love. You were building identity on external validation. And when validation disappears, so does stability. That's not heartbreak. That's withdrawal. Withdrawal from ego reinforcement. Withdrawal from attention spikes. Withdrawal from feeling elevated. And in that silence, you meet yourself without the mirror. And that version feels smaller, less powerful, less certain. That discomfort is the beginning of growth. Because once you recognize that what you called love was dependency on being desired, you regain control. You stop chasing people who stimulate insecurity. You start valuing calm. You start asking, do I feel safe? Instead of, do they want me? And that shift is where real attraction begins. Because when you no longer need to be chosen, you stop performing. You stop optimizing. You stop chasing intensity. And paradoxically, that grounded energy is far more attractive than hunger. But getting there requires something painful. You must survive the silence, where no one is validating you, and not collapse. Because the moment you can exist without external desire, you are no longer addicted. You are free. And this is only the beginning. In the next part, we go deeper into sexual power dynamics and why unavailable people feel elite. Because the addiction is stronger than you think. There's something you haven't admitted yet. You don't just like being desired. You like the hierarchy it creates. Desire is not equal. When someone wants you more than you want them, you feel elevated. When they chase, you feel in control. When they wait for your reply, you feel powerful. And that power is intoxicating. Most people don't chase love. They chase leverage. Because leverage stabilizes insecurity. If someone is more emotionally invested than you, you feel safer. If someone is slightly uncertain about you, you feel threatened. Threat activates obsession. Obsession feels like passion. But passion born from insecurity is not connected. It is ego preservation. Now let's break this down psychologically. Attraction often operates through perceived value imbalance. The more exclusive someone feels, the more your brain assigns them value. Scarcity increases dopamine. Availability decreases stimulation. That's why emotionally unavailable people feel magnetic. They don't validate you consistently, which means every small validation feels amplified. If they respond warmly once, your nervous system spikes. If they pull away, you feel destabilized. That destabilization creates rumination. Rumination creates attachment illusion. You think about them constantly. You replay conversations. You imagine scenarios. Your brain interprets mental preoccupation as emotional depth. But mental preoccupation is often anxiety, not love. Now here's the darker layer. Sometimes you don't even want the person. You want the competition. You want to know that others could have them, but they chose you. That feeds something primal. Selection superiority. You weren't just desired. You were preferred. That preference becomes identity fuel. You begin to define yourself by who wants you, not by who you are. This is where modern culture intensifies the problem. In today's world, attention is currency. Followers, matches, dims, likes. Desirability is quantified. So being wanted isn't just romantic, it's status. And status reinforces ego, which means attraction becomes competitive. You are no longer asking, "Are we aligned?" You're asking, "Did I win?" Winning feels good. Losing feels humiliating. When someone pulls away, it feels like a demotion, not heartbreak, demotion. And your ego cannot tolerate that. So you chase, not to reconnect, but to restore position. Now we approach something uncomfortable. Have you noticed that you feel strongest when someone is slightly beneath you? In emotional investment, when do they care more? When do they text first? When do they seek reassurance? That dynamic feels stabilizing because you are not vulnerable. You are dominant. But real intimacy requires equality. And equality feels risky because equality means you could lose. If both of you care equally, you are exposed. So unconsciously, you gravitate toward imbalance. Either you chase someone above you, or you control someone below you. Both are ego games. Neither is love. Let's go even deeper. Why do unavailable people feel elite? Because emotional distance signals self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency signals value. Your brain interprets independence as high status, and high status triggers pursuit. But what you are pursuing is not emotional connection. It is access to perceived value. You want to conquer what feels exclusive. You want to secure what feels scarce. Scarcity activates obsession. Obsession feels romantic. But romance rooted in scarcity is transactional. You are not bonding. You are negotiating identity. If I can get them, I must be worthy. That sentence drives more relationships than love ever has. Now imagine something different. Imagine someone deeply secure, consistent, stable. They don't withdraw. They don't play games. They don't create uncertainty. How does that feel? But also less intense, because your nervous system is not spiking. And if your system is used to chaos, calm feels dull. So you mistake peace for lack of chemistry. You say, "There's no spark." But what you really mean is, there's no anxiety. And anxiety has become your definition of attraction. This is the identity trap. You built your romantic identity around stimulation. So when stimulation disappears, you feel empty. And emptiness feels like disconnection. But it's not disconnection. It's detox. You are detoxing from intensity. And detox is uncomfortable, which is why you go back. Back to the unstable one. Back to the unpredictable one. Back to the one who makes you feel alive. Because alive, in your mind, means desired. And desired means powerful. But here's the fracture point. Power built on someone else's attention is fragile. The moment they redirect that attention, your sense of control collapses. And when it collapses, you panic. Not because you lost love, because you lost leverage. And losing leverage, it feels like losing identity. So you fight to regain it. You text. You analyze. You attempt to reattract. Not for connection, for restoration. Restoration of status. Restoration of ego. Restoration of being chosen. But if love is a hierarchy, it is not intimacy. It is negotiation. And negotiation cannot sustain depth. True connection requires you to step out of power games, to stop measuring who cares more, to stop equating desire with dominance, to stop needing to win. But that requires one terrifying shift. You must be willing to be ordinary, to not be chased, to not be elevated, to not be positioned above someone else, and still feel worthy. Most people cannot tolerate that, which is why they stay addicted, because addiction feels better than vulnerability. But addiction also keeps you trapped in repeating cycles, different faces, same pattern. You don't fall in love. You fall into dynamics. And until you break the dynamic, you will keep calling power games. This is not the end of the collapse. It's just the beginning. In the next part, we expose why healthy love feels boring and how your nervous system confuses safety with disinterest, because the deepest trap is still ahead. There's a question you avoid. Why do you lose interest When someone is consistent, why does stability feel flat? Why does peace feel like absence? If you were truly looking for love, calm would feel safe. But for you, calm feels like something is missing. That missing sensation is not romance fading. It's your nervous system losing stimulation. Let's slow this down. Your brain doesn't define attraction the way you think it does. Attraction is not just about beauty. It's not just about personality. It's about familiarity. Your nervous system is drawn to what feels familiar, even if that familiarity is unhealthy. If your early experiences of love were inconsistent, if attention was unpredictable, if affection had to be earned, then chaos feels normal, and calm feels foreign. Foreign feels unsafe. So when someone shows up steady, emotionally available, clear about their interest, your body doesn't relax. It disengages, because your brain learned that love equals tension. Love equals uncertainty. Love equals proving yourself. Without that tension, your system doesn't know how to respond. You say, I don't feel a spark. But the spark you're referring to is cortisol, adrenaline, dopamine spikes from unpredictability. You're not missing chemistry. You're missing stress. That's the addiction. Healthy love feels boring to someone who equates anxiety with attraction. Now let's go deeper into the attachment layer. When a caregiver is inconsistent, the child's brain adapts. It becomes hypervigilant, scanning for signs of approval, monitoring tone shifts, trying to decode emotional changes. That hypervigilance later becomes attraction sensitivity. You're drawn to emotionally unavailable people because your system is wired to pursue distance. Distance activates your old pattern, and your old pattern feels like home, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts, because pain and love were paired together early on. So now when someone triggers anxiety, your brain interprets it as depth. But depth is not anxiety. It's safety with vulnerability, and vulnerability without chaos feels unfamiliar to you. Let's expose something darker. You don't just crave desire. You crave overcoming resistance. If someone is instantly into you, there's no challenge, no chase, no validation battle. But if someone is hesitant, reserved, your system activates, because winning them over feels like earning worth, and earning worth feels powerful. But earned worth is conditional worth. Conditional worth collapses when effort stops working. That's why breakups devastate you. Not because you lost love, but because you lost the battle that validated you. And now you are left without the trophy. That trophy was never the person. It was your ego expansion. Now let's connect this to sexual attraction. Sexual tension thrives on uncertainty. Will they lean in? Will they pull back? Will they stay? Will they disappear? That ambiguity fuels fantasy. Fantasy amplifies dopamine. Dopamine intensifies focus. Focus feels like obsession. Obsession feels like passion. But passion built on unpredictability cannot sustain stability. It collapses once certainty appears, which is why once someone commits fully, your attraction sometimes drops. Because the game ended, and without the game, your nervous system has nothing to solve. You don't miss them. You miss the chase. You miss the tension. You miss the version of yourself that felt elevated during uncertainty. But elevation built on instability is temporary. You are not designed to live in constant nervous system spikes. That's why these relationships burn bright and end violently. They are chemically intense, but structurally weak. Now here's the real fracture. If calm love feels boring, it means you have never experienced secure attachment long enough to recognize its depth. Security is not flashy. It is subtle. It does not spike dopamine dramatically. It builds oxytocin gradually. Oxytocin creates bonding. Bonding creates peace. Peace creates stability. Stability feels quiet, and quiet feels empty to a brain trained on chaos. So you leave, or you sabotage, or you create drama. Because drama restores familiarity. Familiarity restores identity. And identity built on chaos rejects peace. This is where identity collapse becomes real. You are not chasing people. You are chasing a nervous system state. You are chasing the familiar intensity of unpredictability until you rewire your association between calm and safety. You will continue to call anxiety and boredom compatibility, but the truth is the opposite. Calm is depth, chaos is stimulation, and stimulation is addictive. The real question is not, why do I fall for unavailable people? The real question is, who am I without the chase? Because once the chase disappears, you meet yourself without adrenaline, and that self feels exposed. Not powerful, just present, and presence requires maturity. The collapse is not romantic. It is neurological. And if you can sit in calm, without running back to chaos, you are no longer addicted to being desired. You are becoming secure. But security will feel uncomfortable before it feels right. And that discomfort is your next threshold. In the next part, we break down how to rewire this pattern without losing attraction completely. Because healing does not mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming stable. Now we move into the part most people avoid. Because exposure is easy, change is not. It's one thing to realize you've been addicted to being desired. It's another thing entirely to detach from it. Because the addiction is not just emotional, it is neurological. And neurological patterns do not dissolve through awareness alone. They dissolve through repetition. So let's begin with the uncomfortable truth. You cannot rewire this pattern while constantly feeding it. If you are still checking who viewed your story, still tracking who liked your photo, still scanning for signals that someone finds you attractive, you are reinforcing the loop. Every time you receive attention and feel a spike, your brain strengthens the association between desirability and worth. So the first shift is not romantic, it's behavioral. You must create space between attention and identity. That means reducing attention-seeking micro-behaviors, not dramatically, but intentionally. Stop dressing purely for reaction. Stop posting purely for validation. Stop flirting purely for ego fuel. Ask yourself before any interaction, am I doing this to connect or to feel powerful? That question alone will destabilize old patterns. Now let's go deeper into nervous system rewiring. Your system associates unpredictability with excitement, so you must train it to associate stability with safety. This will feel uncomfortable because calm does not spike dopamine. It builds oxytocin slowly, which means early-stage secure connections may feel neutral. Your brain will whisper, there's no spark. But the spark you are missing is chaos. You must learn to tolerate low-intensity beginnings. Sit in conversations that feel steady. Resist the urge to manufacture tension. Notice when you feel bored. Then is this boredom or is this peace? This distinction is the turning point. Now let's address sexual psychology. Attraction does not disappear. When chaos disappears, it transforms. Healthy attraction is built on polarity, not instability. Polarity means difference in energy. It does not mean emotional games. You can feel desire without playing dominance games, but that requires you to detach desire from ego superiority. If someone wants you, can you receive it without feeling elevated above them? If someone does not want you, can you remain stable without feeling diminished? That is the test, because addiction thrives on comparison, healing thrives on neutrality. Now let's get practical. Step 1. Dopamine awareness. Track when you feel spikes. Notice who triggers obsession. Notice who triggers anxiety. Notice who triggers ego expansion. Your body will tell you when you are chasing validation. Such a delayed reaction. When someone pulls away, do not immediately chase. Sit in the discomfort. Let your nervous system calm. Without external reassurance. This is detox. Detox feels restless. It feels hollow. It feels quiet. But quiet is not emptiness. It is baseline regulation. Step 3. Rebuild self-worth internally. This sounds cliché, but we're not talking about affirmations. We're talking about earned competence. Build something unrelated to attraction. Fitness, discipline, mastery. When your identity is anchored in capability, you do not need constant validation to feel significant. Now here is the deepest layer. You must become comfortable being unseen, not admired, not desired, not chased, just present, because the moment you can exist without craving attention, your identity stabilizes. And paradoxically, that stability is deeply attractive. But this time, you are not chasing desire. You are choosing connection. There is a difference. Connection does not spike you. It grounds you. And grounding feels less dramatic, but it is sustainable. The collapse you experienced was necessary. You had to see that your romantic history was powered by ego reinforcement, not love. Now you have a choice. Continue chasing elevation or build internal stability. Elevation feels intense. Stability feels mature. One burns fast, one lasts. In the next and final part, we confront the hardest question of all. If you are no longer addicted to being desired, who are you becoming? Because the answer will determine your next relationship. So now we reach the real question. If you are no longer chasing desire, who are you? Because when you remove the attention spikes, the ego battles, the hot-cold tension, you are left with something unfamiliar. Silence. And silence is confronting. For years, your identity was shaped by reaction. Who looked at you? Who texted you? Who wanted you? Your mood shifted based on someone else's interest. Your confidence rose based on someone else's validation. Your sense of power depended on someone else's desire. That is not stability. That is dependency disguised as romance. Now imagine something different. Imagine waking up and not checking who viewed your story. Imagine entering a room and not scanning for who finds you attractive. Imagine dating someone and not measuring who cares more. What would that feel like? First, less intense, but also less anxious. Because intensity is loud, security is quiet, and quiet feels strange. To someone who lived in noise, the collapse you experienced was not lost. It was exposure. Exposure of how fragile externally built identity really is. When you relied on being desired, you were constantly negotiating value. You needed proof. Proof that you mattered. Proof that you were attractive. Proof that you were chosen. But proof is temporary. The moment attention shifts, your certainty collapses. That is why you panicked when someone pulled away. Not because you lost love, because you lost evidence. Now here is the reconstruction phase. Secure identity is not built on how many people want you. It is built on how stable you remain when no one does. That is power, not dominance, not leverage. Stability, real attraction begins when you stop needing to win. When someone shows interest, you appreciate it, but you do not inflate. When someone withdraws, you feel it, but you do not collapse. Your emotional state remains yours. That is regulation. And regulation is the foundation of mature love. Healthy attraction is different. It does not feel like obsession. It feels like alignment. It does not spike you. It steadies you. It does not make you anxious. It makes you clear. Clear about boundaries. Clear about standards. Be clear about what you tolerate. When you no longer chase validation, you stop performing. You stop exaggerating charm. You stop playing hard to get. You stop creating artificial tension. You become direct. And direct energy is rare because most people are still addicted to being desired. But here's something important. Breaking validation addiction does not make you cold. It makes you selective. You don't need everyone to want you. You only need alignment with one person who values you consistently. That consistency will not feel explosive. It will feel calm. And calm is not boring. It is stable. Stable does not create stories for dramatic late-night conversations. Stability creates longevity. Longevity does not trend. Alas, now ask yourself one final question. If no one desired you for a while, would your identity shrink? Or would it remain intact? If it shrinks, you still have work to do. If it remains steady, you are no longer addicted. You are grounded. And grounded people do not chase intensity. They choose connection. They choose respect. They choose mutual desire. Without hierarchy, no dominance games, no leverage battles, no ego scoring. Just two regulated nervous systems, meeting without performance. That may sound less cinematic, but it is infinitely more powerful. Because when desire is no longer your source of identity, it becomes a bonus, not a requirement. And that shift changes everything. You are not in love when you need to feel superior. You are not in love when you need constant proof. You are not in love when anxiety feels like chemistry. You are in love when you can remain yourself without elevation or collapse. This episode was not about them. It was about you, about the version of you that only existed when someone wanted you. That version was unstable. The new version does not require mirrors. It does not require applause. It does not require pursuit. It exists with or without attention. And that is where real power begins. Not the power of being desired, the power of being whole. Identity collapse is not destruction. It is exposure followed by reconstruction. And now that you've seen the addiction clearly, the next question becomes inevitable. If desire is no longer your foundation, what will you build on instead? That is where your next chapter begins.